Hello and welcome to Unraveled. I'm your host, Marvi Sirmed. This week, we turn our focus to a development that could redefine the future of water, peace, and politics in South Asia. The unilateral suspension of the Indus Water Treaty by India, plus the already going on a conflict-like situation in Pakistan about something called Green Pakistan Initiative. Uh, a so-called development initiative by the state of Pakistan, which has triggered a debate about the water injustice or water justice, especially between two provinces, Punjab and Sindh. About the Indus Water Treaty signed in 1960 between Pakistan and India, which was brokered by the World Bank. It has survived wars and hostilities and diplomatic freezes, but now, with India walking away from it, Pakistan stands on the brink of a looming water crisis. Couple this with the Green Pakistan Initiative, and we are looking at a disaster. Beyond the headlines lies a deeper and more troubling story. How this impact not just Pakistan's water security, but also how it exacerbates the internal inequities in water distribution, especially in Sindh and Balochistan too. With Pakistan's rivers already under stress due to climate change, also misgovernance, and most importantly, elite capture. The fallout from India's decision may pave catastrophic consequences unless met with strategic and equitable action. To help us unpack the legal, political, and environmental dimensions of this crisis, we are joined by a respected voice in climate justice and water governance, Mr. Naseer Memon. Thank you very much, Mr. Memon, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
So, let's start with what is most immediate, and we will come to the Green Pakistan Initiative. How significant is India's, recent suspension of the Indus Water Treaty?
Yeah, this is a very significant development, and I consider it as a typical Modi mania. The kind of the man he is, he goes beyond the borders, always in his aggression. He crosses all the limits, and this is totally uncalled for. Um, uh, it's a treaty which has a self-defense mechanism inside it. Its own clauses prohibit either party to step away from this accord unilaterally. So neither India nor Pakistan are entitled under this very agreement that either party could actually say that goodbye, we are not part of it, or even suspending it. It has a provision for dispute resolution, and rather than resorting to that side, Modi just in a knee-jerk reaction on an issue on a tragic incident where a lot of details are yet to be surfaced. It's too early to conclude anything, but this is how both countries react on such incidents. But saying that we are suspending this Indus Water Treaty, now let's come to the impact side. What if it's going to happen? And it apparently is going to happen because then when he says we are suspending, apparently it stands suspended. So what would be the impacts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? What would be next? What does it mean, suspending it? As against 1948, when India had a couple of headworks on its side of the border, Madhupur and Ferozpur, they just locked the gates and water was not flowing to Pakistan. In this case, the positive side is that India do not have any readily available infrastructure to stop or divert flows to Pakistan on western rivers.
Okay.
Eastern rivers, Satluj, Bias, and Ravi are already on Indian side, so whatever maximum they could use, they are using it. Now, they are already using it, except the release water when there is some surplus flow inside Indian side, as it happened in 2023 when Satluj got flood because India had a flood, so the Bakhra Dam spillways were open and water flew to Pakistan. As against that, in case of Jhelum, Chenab, and Indus, yeah, there are a couple of reservoirs. One is Kishan Ganga, one is another dam on Chenab, forgotten the name, but both of them are actually hydel power projects. So they have a very limited storage capacity. They just have to release water to create energy. So they can't stop flowing that, because then they stop flowing it, that means they stop generating electricity, which doesn't suit Indian side as well. On Pakistan side, the third river Indus, it does not have any major flows generating on Indian side. It's maybe small streams until it reaches in the Pakistan side when Gilgit and Hunza river meets, and then following another big river, Kabul meets it. So then it becomes a big river. Even on Pakistan side, initially at the Hunza side, it has very small flows. So I don't think India would be able to construct any big thing on that side. There's no agriculture being practiced there. So immediately in the near future, I don't see anything happening catastrophic on waterfront. It won't be able to stop Pakistan's flows immediately. Um, but doesn't mean that we underestimate the threat, because
Yeah. And
if,
also
if
immediately, how do you define immediately? Like 1 year, 6 months? Of course not. But down the lane, 5 years, maybe? No?
I can think of it, maybe within 5 years, some diversion structures or dams may be constructed. I don't have exact details of what kind of structures are available on that side, except these couple of Bagaliar and Kishan Ganga, which are hydel power projects. I don't know if they can raise this capacity. Changing the design of a dam is not easy. Keep that in mind, engineering point of view. If the dam exists, it's not so easy to altogether alter its objectives. Converting it from hydel to agriculture project is not that easy. When it is agriculture project, you need a lot of storage, you need diversion structures, you need canals to convey water ultimately at some destination. So immediate means if say India starts constructing any big dam tomorrow, any big dam would not take less than 5 years, even at a speed at a very full high pace. It won't be possible to complete structures in such a remote, distant areas right away. The next day, you find a weir standing there and is stopping Pakistan's water. It doesn't happen like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, maybe 5 years, later than 5 years, after 5 years, there could be impact. There could be other issues as well. For example, other than stopping water and diverting water, for example, there's an Indus Commission which is supposedly has to meet at a certain frequency on a regular basis for sharing information and listening each other's concerns. If any party has, like Pakistan had issues on Bagaliar and Kishanganga design, both times there were internal communication, internal discussions. Then finally, matters went to the court of arbitration at one stage as well. But so suppose you think that if India does anything wrong, he says, okay, no talks, we are not going to consult you. We don't believe in this treaty, so whatever we have to do, we'll do it. So that's one possibility. India can say, okay, there won't be any further meetings. We are not going to talk to you. We won't be sitting with you on table. Or, for example, in the next flood year, India does not provide right information on flood flows generating on their areas, on their side, that can eventually trigger a flood on Pakistan side. Because these rivers originate on Indian side. So this information sharing is a normal practice. If on Indian side there are abnormal flows are being generated or any flood is expected, then India is supposed to convey it to Pakistan at certain time that okay, this so that we get ready. Similarly, it happened in 2023 when Pakistan came to know about the dam spillways being opened on Indian side, so Satluj will get a flood. So then PDMA Punjab swiftly moved. They tried to relocate people. They set up some camps, etc. So to mitigate the impact, there was an impact, but it was not too severe. There was a temporary dislocation, and then people come back. But if suppose theoretically you don't get any information about flood, and all of a sudden, a fine morning, you find a huge flow, a deluge entering inside Pakistan's borders, then can play havoc, especially in the areas which are near border. Although this would be completely unethical, unhumanitarian, kind of inhuman act if any country thinks doing so. But you can't rule out anything.
Yeah.
So these are the possible scenarios.
Yeah, the Indian attitude, at least what we see in media, is they want they like to, one-upmanship. They want to do a lot of chest thumping. Plus, they also want to be framed, portrayed as a more humane state than we are, Pakistan is. So they always pride themselves, oh, we are, very cognizant of human rights, etc., etc. How are they going to do it? I mean, this is it's conflict in terms that you are deliberately making people suffer catastrophes like flood, and at the same time you can't pride yourself being humane. But what can possibly India do after this suspension that could harm Pakistan? I mean, you have explained quite amply, but what I'm asking is, which is possible under the current global arrangement? I mean, there are global forums in place which can which where India will have to explain itself. So what possibly legally, according to international law, they can do and get away with it?
They can do anything while sitting at upstream. Getting away with it may not be easy.
Okay.
So, so what they can attempt to do, I think, immediately, um, as I said, that they don't have structures available, but they can to put a psychological pressure. For example, tomorrow they announce a couple of large dams. They say, okay,
Mm.
we are going to give approval. Next 3 years, we are going to construct this dam, for example, or any other diversion structure.
Hmm.
I haven't seen closely studied the geography and the topography of the location. Could there be any, say, any pipeline could divert water from any of the river to existing Indian channels? I have yet to see this. But
Hmm.
such tactics could be launched by India
Hmm.
to mount pressure on Pakistan.
Hmm.
Whereas Pakistan will certainly approach either as an arbitrator to the World Bank or maybe even the International Court of Justice, maybe. There
Hmm.
are forums. These are kind of forums where Pakistan as a state can go because an Indian case, frankly, in this case is very weak because
Yeah.
the covenants of this accord do not permit, as I said, either party to step away from this, say that we are not party to it. We just, unless both agree to, which is not the situation here. Pakistan would certainly not. So maybe Pakistan would definitely, I think, soon it will approach some of the forums, maybe International Court of Justice or the World Bank, to sort it out. Though,
Yeah.
there are other issues,
Hmm.
which is actually more worrying for me than this water issue. What if
Is it?
any border skirmishes start tomorrow? This kind of things have happened in past,
Hmm.
and on such occasions when tempers run high, and the kind of person Modi who feels that his writ has been challenged in the region because he thinks himself as now regional champion, not just India. He is visiting every country. Perhaps he was in Saudi Arabia day or two before,
Hmm.
getting a very warm welcome, and his kind of the promoting shining India image, the business, the entrepreneurship, and the high imports and exports. So he has created an image of India,
Hmm.
and knowing and hearing that okay, someone has killed a large number of tourists in his area. So even if the incident may or may not have direct or immediate consequences, but the very psychological impact on Indian government is that
Hmm.
they can't stop short of doing something unusual, abnormal. So that's
Hmm.
what they did. Now Pakistan has retorted to this. Today, I guess Pakistan has, perhaps I haven't followed the news, but I guess they've announced stopping the fly zones or something have been closed. So
Hmm.
this is the escalation which is happening. Any escalation on military front would actually be the real threat to the regional stability and peace in this area.
Hmm.
Water will come later because water cannot be stopped immediately, but other things can happen right next moment. Any aggression can actually happen, and we have seen in the past that how
Hmm.
things fuel up in a minute. Uh,
Yes.
and when it comes to the India and Pakistan, these things become, even on
True.
a cricket match,
Hmm.
people They are not willing to play cricket match in each other's country. So that level of hatred prevails.
Hmm.
So amid this kind of acrimony, if such an unfortunate incident has occurred, we definitely condemn that. Whosoever did it, Pakistan has also condemned the government. Nobody in this region would endorse any act of terrorism. Now both countries continue to allege each other on such incident. Pakistan, vice versa, claims that in Balochistan and KP there is an Indian footprint. Now this is a continuous exercise which is happening on both sides. End of the day, more than 1.5 billion people's lives have been made miserable.
Hmm.
Look at the development indicators of both countries. India might be slightly better, marginally. It's not a Shandar country on human development ladder.
Hmm.
It has huge population without toilets. It has out of school population. It has internal insurgencies. It's mother and infant mortality rates, illiteracy rates. All bad indicators that we see in Pakistan exist also on Indian side. The percent of people getting polluted water. So, I mean, these both countries have actually punished their populations for their cheaper other gains. Different
Yeah.
forces want their own benefits accrued in their pockets, and on both sides, millions of poor are paying the cost of this insanity that we see spanned over now about a century.
That's right. But Memon Saab, this, on Human Development Index, the indicators you mentioned, very important ones, the human rights indicators, the state of democracy indicators, on all of these,
Yeah.
although India and Pakistan suffer with the similar problems, but India has been faring quite better compared to Pakistan in every indicator. Also, India has a better chances in the geopolitics to leverage its position with the great powers. Um, we don't you think Pakistan is on a weaker footing here than India?
India has a big advantage of few things: a strong economy, a sustainable democracy.
Yeah.
The most unfortunate side that within that democratic process, now you see this kind of extremist parties are ruling India. That is another better reality. But
Hmm.
then, as a process, at least,
Yeah.
democracy does exist there. On human rights fronts, I don't think India would ever impress anybody. They have also the kind of mob lynching happens in India, and so everything bad that we see here
Communal
also happen on
violence,
Indian side. Uh,
communal violence and gender.
Criminal politics now, the relatively secular and progressive India, that image has been completely distorted.
Hmm.
So the only good thing about India is their strong economy, and at least to say that they have some democracy that is existing, that is thriving actually, that is breathing well. On the contrary, on Pakistan side, we see democratic dispensations are growing weaker and weaker with
Hmm.
every passing day, which is a very bad omen.
Yeah.
On human rights, on the regulation side, on civil society voices, on media front, we all see bad things happening in Pakistan. So far, the human development indicators here, India might have better indicators than Pakistan.
Hmm.
But if you look at the human development index in totality,
Hmm.
India does not have any respectable standing either. Yes, we are worse. Yes, our indicators are worse.
Hmm.
But India is not among the top 100 countries as well. So, I mean, both countries, millions of people are still suffering,
That's true.
irrespective of who is slightly less bad. I would say comparison has become, unfortunately, that who is less bad. It's
Hmm.
not that who is good.
Yeah.
So if the
Absolutely.
benchmark is Pakistan, when we say Pakistan's indicators are much better than Afghanistan, should I celebrate it? I can't,
That's right.
because then benchmark is not ideal.
Yeah.
So in that sense, looking at this, it's a millions, the below poverty line population, you just measure it. Maybe whole Europe's population on one side and Pakistan, India's poor, you put it on the other side of a scale, and perhaps the bet would be higher on our side.
Yeah.
So
No, I
would it be?
totally understand your point, and I agree with it that in terms of human suffering, we can't say there's no comparison. I mean, this comparison would be futile. But in terms of if we look at the geopolitics and leveraging position among the nations, among the big powers or among the international organizations, um, don't you think India has a, in a better position, because big power, in the big power rivalry, India has established its importance, and it's an emerging Asian power anyway, and it rubs its shoulders with different kinds of countries than we do. If Pakistan takes this issue of Indus Water Treaty or water governance, don't you think that Pakistan's position will be a little weaker than India, in spite of the fact India's case is weaker?
I think on waterfront may not be,
Okay.
but on the other issues, if still we haven't seen, luckily so far, there's
Mm-hmm.
no active border conflict so far. Now, while India has the endorsement, or as you said, that it's rubbing shoulders with superpowers, typically USA these days, and also having good relations with uh, um, Russia. So that, and then terribly bad with China as well. So on the foreign policy front, it's
Mm-hmm.
also a mix of good and bad. But why America? Look at one decade back, we were the darlings of America, like as today India is. So it's a game of interest. So if
That's
I would not appreciate in that sense that Americans are any, their friendship and enmity both can't be cherished or mourned. You never know next day what happens in this region. They can quickly shift their priorities. This is how American politics act. Uh,
that has been.
Today, Indian partnership suits them,
Mm,
particularly not because of Pakistan. Pakistan may not be as a challenge for America. Obviously, it's because of China.
yeah.
America wants somebody sitting next door to the China, which is not in the lap of China. So that's why they have a positive tilt towards India. So, but when it comes to water, where the water case will be taken, I don't think it will go to UN. It won't be going to Security Council for any voting.
Mm,
Immediately, it will at the best go to the International Court of Justice, where America may not have, or any superpower may not have direct influence. Now, there's another point. What if India says, okay, we are not going to oblige Indian International Court of Justice.
mhm,
We don't recognize you.
mm,
You can imagine the kind of person Modi is.
mm,
As Trump said, I don't believe you, whosoever you are, run away.
mm,
I don't endorse you. You may be
mm,
UN, you may be whatever.
mm,
But this happens only when we have to see for next 72 hours, maybe how the border conflict situation develops. That
mm,
will determine the other contours.
mm,
It's not that water will determine the border conflict contours, because immediately no get to stop flows of Pakistan. Yes,
mm,
would be one of the points that would continue to reverberate for coming days in Pakistan. And it's not new. Only a year before or so, India already said that they expressed their kind of a desire to move away from this treaty. The Modi government said that the scenario has been shifted, the climate change has changed the realities, so that agreement is no more valid. Kind of this is stuff they have been saying it. But I think it's more worrying sign would be if any border conflict, which is at the moment is not an active conflict, if it turns into an active conflict, if there are any gunshots, then you can see that other issues will get aggravated, including water, including Pakistan's petition to any forum. India can say, we are not coming to enlist in you, with no argument. You have to do whatever you do. Who will influence it? Who will implement it? In 1960 accord, at one stage, Chaudhry Muhammad Ali wrote one thing. He said if we had, that time there was a tribunal existing. So someone asked them why Pakistan did not go to tribunal to seek relief, because that tribunal has their life. It has, perhaps, I think tribunal also stopped business, appellate tribunal on 31st March, 31st March. And so this asset distribution committee was wound up. So the next day can also restart. So
mm,
Chaudhry Muhammad Ali wrote somewhere that what if we have gone to the arbitration panel, and even if it have decided in our favor, India was on the upstream side, so it could have discontinued supply in any case. So what's the fun of going to the panel in that case? This was one mindset. So
Hmm.
India can say tomorrow, okay, you continue your petitions and hearings. We are not coming to explain your position. We are at war. Bye bye. So then that could be an extreme situation. You can't rule it out.
Yeah.
As I feel that as if border conflict aggravates, which let's hope it does not, because
Yeah.
you then wait for another millions to get poorer, nothing else. An insane bloodshed on both sides, nothing else. It
Yeah.
will there'll be no victory for either side.
Absolutely. Coming to water issues in Pakistan, even before the suspension of Indus Water Treaty, Pakistan's water governance was, as you know, deeply flawed. How this new development affects already existing interprovincial tensions, especially since long-standing grievances on water.
I read some of the social media posts when people in Sindh were saying, now look how upstream behaves with downstream.
Yeah.
So, in a way, the
Yeah.
way you were treating sin, now you are facing, and we faced it in 1960 as well.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, um, Sindh is not demanding anything beyond what Pakistan demands from India.
Hmm.
We need environmental flows, we need judicious flows, we
Hmm.
need priority right of lower riparian. This is what Pakistan demands from India on the water right now. So Sindh is not asking for anything unusual.
Yeah.
Sindh, what does Sindh say? Follow 1991 Accord,
Hmm.
which has the legal protection.
Hmm.
Uh, Indus River System Authority is meant to regulate water flows, and and the 91 Accord being continuously violated under the auspices of its itself. So then people say, how we can trust your institution? Where to go? Say Supreme Court. Only few years back, a Supreme Court top judge was running a funding campaign for big dams.
Hmm.
So then people would often think, okay, is this a court we should expect some fairness where a top judge can, well, it was not act of individual. I take it as an act of institution because the fund was created in the Supreme Court. And I haven't seen yet any note of dissent from any judge.
Hmm.
To me, it was an institutionally endorsed decision. So such kind of things. Now coming to the Cholistan and other six canals issue, it has become a boiling point in Pakistan. You know, for last 7 days, main
Yeah.
arteries connecting Sindh and Punjab are totally blocked. There's no movement except for small passenger vehicles which are being allowed because the protesters have proved themselves very decent, I must acknowledge. There's no
Hmm.
violence. No car screen has been scratched, let
Yes.
alone broken. The
Absolutely.
people who are trapped in that situation because there are hundreds and thousands of trawlers and trucks have been stranded there. All
Hmm.
those people are being fed by local village people. They are getting food. They are getting drinking water. So
Hmm.
they are being treated like guests. So I
Hmm.
think this is a very decent gesture at how a mature and civilized nation regards its protest.
Yeah.
Sitting there, women are sitting there at 45 to 50-degree Celsius temperature. It's
Yeah.
horrible. In the area of Sakar, you're sitting on the road in the peak afternoon with 45 to 50-degree temperature. It's not easy. And there are thousands of people sitting there, men and women with children, elderly, and they are in thousands. So I think
That's impressive resolve. But what do you think? Sorry to cut you. We need to hurry because you have to go as well. And I think we have just few minutes left. Memon Saab, what do you think is because the Punjab centric politicians and journalists have been saying on the media in Pakistani media that Sindh's water is not being stolen. Why are Sindhis so upset? So how would you explain it to people who are not following Pakistani politics? Why are Sindhis so upset if the water is not being stolen?
no, water is certainly being stolen.
Okay.
We don't have any iota of doubt about that. Coming to the Cholistan project, I'm giving you very simple straight statistics. Indus River System Authority's own data says that since 2001 and now this is 25th year, there was
Hmm.
not a single year when IRSA has not declared water shortage in Indus River system. And every year, IRSA says we can't distribute water as per 1991 accord because
Hmm.
there's a water shortage in the Indus River system. That means there is water shortage. So if there is water shortage, that water shortage means you are not able to fulfill your existing commitments. Because 1991 accord,
Hmm.
distribution of water was based on existing commitments. So if
Hmm.
those commitments are not being fulfilled, that means you do not have enough water to even meet the current requirements.
Hmm.
And on the top of that, you are going to add another 5 million acre feet new requirements.
Hmm.
So where the water will come from? Water
Hmm.
is finite. If
Hmm.
it is a matter of, say, sometimes Punjabi friends from Punjab say
Hmm.
that will use flood water, whereas the
Hmm.
PC1 of the canal says it will also operate in Rabi. There's mention of Rabi crops. All right, flood waters. Flood is not a reliable phenomenon. Nobody can guarantee floods. The last
Hmm.
super flood, riverine flood, was in 2010. Since then, there had been no riverine flood. The 2020 flood, 22 flood was not a riverine flood. So what
Hmm.
if there are 5 years long dry spell and it has been happening in Pakistan? Even this
Hmm.
year we have an acute drought. So will
Hmm.
you abandon the millions of acres new canal command area which you have touted as a green Pakistan revolution of the corporate agriculture, where you have to sell commodity to other countries? So that means you will enter into some bilateral trading agreements. So will you stop supplies only because you don't have enough floods this year? It won't work like that. It needs assured and guaranteed supplies. And that's the reason that three link canals capacity is being enhanced that
Hmm.
can bring water from Jhelum to Ravi and from Ravi to Chenab and from Chenab to Satluj. This is the part of PC1. That means
Okay.
there is a clear intent that water of Jhelum and Chenab will be diverted to Cholistan. So if you divert Chenab and Jhelum water to Cholistan,
Hmm.
what about their command areas? They also have barrages at Panchnath and Trimu. So will you
Hmm.
leave them parched? What will do that? Then
Hmm.
definitely you will. There's a concern that in that case, the water from Indus will be diverted through link canals. Tonsa
Hmm.
Panjnad and Chashma Jhelum to feed these possibly dry areas in case of lean flows. That's
Hmm.
a concern of Sindh. And remember that every artery of Indus is eventually part of Indus. Satluj, Ravi, and Jhelum, Chenab, they eventually feed Indus at Panjnad. So all the water belongs to Indus.
Hmm.
If you look at the map, all these rivers converge at Panjnad. So if you take out water from either river, it will eventually take out water of Indus because Indus is not a river. Indus is Indus river system. That's a big
Hmm.
difference. So that's why since there's a concern, Pakistan's water, Indus River basin water does not have additional cushion. It's normally said that tons of water is being wasted to sea. I invite them to come in and personally visit Delta and see the situation where 10 out of 12 months they are virtually zero flow below Kotri barrage. And don't take 50 years average. Look at the average of last 25 years because it's a dry spell going on. Because of climate change, our glaciers are fastly melting and
Hmm.
more frequent dry spells are happening. Last 10 years, the snowfall had 7 out of last 10 years. 7 out of last 10 years, snowfall in Pakistan had been less than average annual snowfall. So we are in a drought spell. We are a water scarce country. We always cry that Pakistan is water scarce country, don't we? So if there is surplus, where is that surplus? So we
Yeah.
are very clear. We have data and numbers. Our government of Pakistan's own reports. System does not have additional water to feed any new canals, any new dams, any new canal irrigated development areas.
Yeah, and also this myth that you hear a lot in Pakistani media that almost 80% of water is being wasted and diverted to the sea. Uh, what do you speak of it? One, where does the figure of 80% come from? And two, sea needs that water. You have to divert water to the delta, as far as my very little knowledge is concerned. Please, if you can explain that.
It's globally recognized that Delta has right over the water. It's not a charity.
Yeah.
Delta needs water to sustain its ecosystems. Otherwise, we are experiencing a rapid sea level rise and sea intrusion in Sindh. More
Mm,
than 3 million acres of land has gone under sea in Sindh. This is the officially available data of Sindh government.
mm,
The mangroves forests are at the verge of extinction because we do not have enough mangroves left with us. This is the natural shield against cyclones and tsunamis where we are exposed to. And then this has a very unique ecosystem that need to be prevented. It's one of the most pristine ecoregions of the world. It's the Ramsar site. It is globally recognized Ramsar site.
mm,
So water is a judicious justified need. Crime is not to release water to Delta. And
mm,
let me refer to a study of International Panel of Experts that was commissioned by government of Pakistan. I'm talking of the federal government. Excuse me. In 2005, that study is available. The study is recommended to release at least 5,000 cusics every day because Delta ecosystem needs water on a day-to-day basis, not once a year, not once in 5 years. So the study says 5,000 cusics every day and
mm,
then 25 million acre feet once in 5 years to flush the silt because silt is also important requirement of ecosystem. It creates a bed that stops the intrusion, and that bed becomes a kind of a bed for mangrove forest. So this is
mm,
a comprehensive, complete ecosystem that needs sustenance. Now, coming to the 5,000 cusics per day
mm,
for last 25 years, again I'm referring,
mm.
13 years are such when for more than 200 days in a year, there was zero flows below code.
Oh, that's more than half of a.
Yes, more than half of the time, we
Mm,
had years with more than 200 days with zero flow. And there are years when there were more than 300 days of zero flow as well.
oh my God,
So
that's.
what has been prescribed by international experts, not by Sindh government, not by Sindhi Nationalist Party, not by Sindhi journalists, not me, not some sinful people like of our land, international panel of experts. They
Mm,
have said, and that is being violated. Why it is being done? Because you don't have water. So
mm,
where is the water that you are clamoring that is being invested to Delta? There is no water. There is no surplus water. So official statistics are actually completely trashing this claim.
mm. Absolutely. No, thank you very much, Naseer Memon Saab. You have explained it, and we hope that you will be available for further discussions on this topic
Sure.
because we plan New Wave Global. We plan to have several episodes, a series of discussions on different aspects of this issue, and I would really urge you to be available for further discussions on that. For now, I thank you very much. So, viewers, everything boils down to the rights of the law riparian, whether it is Sindh or it is vis-a-vis Federation of Pakistan or Pakistan vis-a-vis India. The suspension of Indus Water Treaty is not just about water, or the protests in Sindh about the current Green Pakistan initiative. It's just not about water. It is about power. It is about federalism. It is about climate justice. And more importantly, it is about survival. While India's move may violate the norms of cooperation, Pakistan's challenges, they lie within how we govern, how we allocate, and how we protect this vanishing resource. If we are to survive this century, we must move beyond military-centric securitization and treat water as a constitutional right, not as a weapon of control. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and stay committed to truth. You have been watching Unraveled, and I'm your host, Marvi Sirmed. Thank you.